What is going on, MMA on point? It is me, the casual Lawton Vierkant, yet again for another week. Jason is in London hanging out with the London boys. He is getting some really cool things ready. So I am here and I am in charge. Jason's actually in the chat, so he's monitoring us from an entirely different country. But good to see everyone. This is the weekly live chat that we do. We are going to be answering all your questions, talking about upcoming fights, and anything else you guys want. So real quick, I want to give a shout out to Venom. We are partnered with them, and it is just awesome to be partnered with the UFC's main clothing brand. So use our code MMA on point on their website for 10% off of everything. Support them for supporting us. We love getting partnerships with companies like this, and we just want to show them that we're thankful. So please go get you some swag. I'm wearing actually one of my favorite shirts right now. It's kind of hard to see, but you can get any of this on the store. Use our code MMA on point, and we appreciate it. So without further ado, it is actually an Irish takeover today. I am joined by Rob and Pete, as usual. How are you guys doing today?
Excellent.
Yeah, we're doing great. We just want to say thank you to our fearless leader, Jason. We know he's watching. We just want to say we love you so much. You're the best thing ever. Please don't fire us.
Yeah, I concur.
All right, boys. Well, we are just going to dive right into it. We are going to head straight in to get this week started with the Kumite Crunch. If you guys are new here or haven't been here in a while, this is kind of an icebreaker thing we do. It's 5 topics real quick, 1 minute each. We will kind of go through them all, and I'll kind of be the moderator and kind of reading it off and monitoring the chat. So how this works, every other question, we're going to do a vote on who should take it, Rob or Pete. So that is your all's job to vote who should be taking this first one, and I'll kind of read and prep the questions while we move on. So right now in the chat, who should take this first headline of favorite fight? Go ahead and put Rob or Pete in the chat while I kind of read about it, and then we'll go there and kind of get the answers. So the headline of favorite fight. What is your favorite title fight for UFC 261 this weekend, and why? And if you don't know, there's obviously 3 title fights, so we're kind of just going to talk about what your favorite one coming up is, and let's go to the chat and see what we got. Ooh, Pete, I think we're coming to you this one.
This would be like if Tyron Woodley won that fight against Vicente Luque, because Rob smoked me the last time he came on. Anthony smoked me last week. Jason smoked me in between that. So I'm on a 3-fight skid. So thank you, guys. I would have been handed my marching papers if I didn't win this one. That's why Jason's in the comments. He was going to fire me immediately if I lost that. Thank you.
All right, so it is you officially. So Pete, you got 1 minute on the topic favorite title fight from this weekend. You ready?
Oh, you better believe it.
All right, starting now.
My favorite fight this weekend is Zhang Weili versus Rose Namajunas. I think this is an unbelievable fight. The last time we saw Weili, she was in that amazing war with Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Of course, we know Rose Namajunas, a former champion, has defeated Joanna twice. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful fight. And look, I think if this goes into a kind of a striking exchange fight like we saw against Joanna last March, I think Rose really has a huge advantage. I think she is one of the slickest boxers in the whole promotion. So I'm really relishing the thoughts of how these two match up on the feet. I think Rose really owns that advantage by a long way. But I think Zhang on the ground is so strong, so boisterous, and she really wears people down because she puts all of her strength on them, all of her weight on them, and she is a huge, huge strawweight. I think that's an excellent fight, and I think there's lots of things to do afterwards. They could even do an immediate rematch, and then Joanna's back at play. Perfect.
Nice. On the dot, 1 minute. All right, Rob, we are tossing it to you. You got 1 minute. What's your favorite title fight coming up this Saturday? You ready?
Yes.
All right, 1 minute starting now.
So my favorite fight was the co-main event as well, but I will take the main event because I also think it's a very good fight. Now, I don't think it's that much deserving for Jorge Masvidal, but what I will say is, even though the narrative going into the first one was that Masvidal was in some kind of camp and he was in some kind of shape, when I went back and rewatched it, he looked in good shape, but not in great shape. And I think that with fighters, they always say the right thing going in. And maybe there was a bit of that at play. So if Jorge Masvidal really wasn't in the shape that he said he was, and he was in the shape that kind of he's saying he was now, where he had trouble cutting weight, and we know he did, I think it could be an interesting one. I think, though, Usman definitely has the style to beat him. I also wonder if Usman, because he asked for this fight, will he try to put on a more impressive performance than the last one? He caught a lot of flack for the last one. If he's smart, he'll go for the wrestling, he'll go for the foot stomps, he'll go for the clinch, but you never know. It might be more impressive from Usman this time, so it's a good fight.
Nice. All right. 1 minute on the dot, too. We're
Great
starting.
call on the audible there, by the way. What an audible by Rob, who was going to pick the co-main. I come in, snooker him. I'm like, hey, I'm picking. He's like, boom, main event, no problem. Love it, Rob. Well done. They should have picked you.
Thanks, man. But yeah, the co-main event is the best fight in the card. It's unbelievable.
Disregard everything I said.
Yeah, I talked a lot of shite there.
All right. So, and I forgot to mention this to you, Rob. So, and to the chat. So, like I said, we vote on every other one. So, Rob, you will be taking this second headline first of most likely upset, and then we'll vote on the next one. So, just a little bit of description for this one. Obviously, we're still talking about the title fight. So, who do you think will be dethroned of those 3 title fights? So, you can kind of rattle off which ones you think are going to potentially lose their belt this Saturday. So, Rob, you got 1 minute again. You ready? All right, here we go, starting now.
So I'll go to that co-main event. I think Pizzi was right. It's probably a best matched fight on the card. Rose is an underdog, but I think she's a very live dog in this fight. Weili Zhang is coming off that really, it was probably the best fight in women's MMA history, one of the best fights ever in the UFC. And you never know how fighters are going to react coming back from that one. So this is a real chance for Rose to go in here, who's coming off a good win against Jessica Andrade. I think it was a split decision, but I was pretty confident she won that one. It was also a fight that she avenged. So Rose, who was excellent everywhere, as is Weili Zhang, she can come in here, she can strike with her, she can work her wrestling. I think Rose is a good bet here to get a win. I think yeah, the other 2, I'm not quite sure of, but I think this is the one. I think if you want to make a bet on this card, Rose Namajunas as an underdog in this fight, I'd go for that one. Yeah, I'd go for that one.
Nice.
5 seconds to spare.
Oh my God. You never have to use the full minute. All right, Pizzi, are you ready?
No.
All right, well, too bad. We're moving along. You got 1 minute. Who do you think's going to be dethroned of these 3 title fights this weekend? You got 1 minute starting now.
I agree with Rob, right? If I had to pick one, it would certainly be Rose Namajunas to dethrone Zhang. But I'll make an argument for the purpose of competition that Jessica Andrade can beat Valentina Shevchenko. And look, I don't think it's going to happen, but she's a 4-1 dog, right? And I think if you look at the people she's taken on in these title fights, I'm just looking at them here. Jennifer Moya, Caitlin Chukagian, Liz Carmouche, Jessica Eye, and of course, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Was that the inaugural title fight? I think it might have been. But the thing that Jessica has that none of these guys have, Jessica Andrade that is she has one shot stopping power. Like without a doubt, whether it's slams, whether it's a big overhand right, she has the power to end a contest with one shot. And I think that's what makes her very dangerous here. Look, I think Valentina is going to be looking at the Joanna fight with Jessica Andrade. I think Joanna handled her better than anyone, just jabbed the face off her. She'll probably go that route, but Andrade does have that power. She has a puncher's chance, but I still agree with Rob. In case you clip this, I still agree with Rob.
To be honest, though, BT, I don't think it's a bad shout, that one. Like all the fighters who have come against Valentina so far have been kind of, in terms of striking anyway, a bit pitter-pattery. Like they're not going to knock you out. So at least this is something different with Andrade. Like she showed against Rose, who was also a very technical fighter, that she has that kind of, not one-shot power because it wasn't a punch, but it was a slam. She showed that she can't finish the fight, and we've seen it throughout her career. So to be honest, I wouldn't be overly surprised if she could get something done here. I wouldn't pick it now, but wouldn't be surprised.
But it's like people forget the last round she had with Rose Namajunas because that was a tough last round she gave Namajunas. You know what I mean? So I think she might be capable of doing something really cool, but I just have a good feeling for Rose for this fight. I don't know why. I mean, when it was announced, I was like, I think I was favoring Weili, but the closer we get, I just feel Rose is in a really free state of mind, and I think that's when she does her best work.
I agree.
Nice. All right, y'all. Moving on to the third headline, and this is one we will actually be voting on. So, chat, who should take this Colby is next ? Headline. So, put Rob, put Pizzi in the chat right now. I'll kind of read up about it, and then we will go to the voting. So, in a recent interview, Dana said that Colby Covington will be next for the title. Do you agree or disagree with this statement and prediction? So, kind of talking about that. Is Colby going to be the next one for the title? Let's go to the chat. Jason, you're getting a vote, so if you could type your response out right now, we'll read it out to you. Rob, I don't know if you've got as many friends in the chat as Pizzi does this week.
This is unbelievable.
I don't know, man.
Thank you, family. The Carroll family out in force.
Robbie Knuckles.
Have you watched The Dissident? If you have, I've got one of those farms like the Saudi king does. They all just get on the comments and make sure I win. They were off on holidays for the last few weeks. I'm sorry.
All right. Yeah, I think they're coming in slow, but I think Pizzi is taking this one again. So, Rob, I am sorry, man. I would say it's because you're Irish, but that excuse doesn't work today. So, so Pizzi, you got 1 minute on your thoughts. Is Colby next for the title? Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. 1 minute starting now.
Well, here's the thing. I get it. I get it that Colby Covington has better storylines with Usman, better storylines with Masvidal. So from a business point of view, I think a lot more casual eyes tune in if Colby is fighting either one of these guys, whoever comes away with the title, definitely. But Leon Edwards, how are you doing this to Leon Edwards? Leon Edwards is about to fight the biggest fight of his life against Nate Diaz. He's going to bring all these eyeballs to the fight. He could have the performance of a lifetime against one of the biggest stars in the UFC. And then they're just like, oh, you're going to have to wait for Colby to fight whoever wins UFC 261. I think that's bullshit. I don't know what this guy has to do to get this fight. And I think Colby's playing the UFC because he's been asked to fight numerous times since his last outing. And he just said no. So you're setting a precedent now. You're going to tell every fighter that's right there at the top of a division who's already lost to the champion, just sit it out and you'll get a shot again. I don't like it.
All right. Love the passion behind that one. All right, Rob.
Free Leon.
Free Leon.
Free Leon.
All right, Rob, you got 1 minute, same topic. What are your thoughts on Colby Covington maybe being next for the title? Do you agree or disagree? 1 minute starting now.
Pizzi was like, you were fairly convincing, Pizzi. I'll give you that. But I don't mind it. I mean, Colby, he beat Tyron Woodley. You know, we're not going to really write home about that one. But he beat him. He came back. The fight against Kamaru Usman, it was a great fight. People want to see it again. And it was close. Like, it was probably down to that last round. So I don't mind it. But, you know, I do agree that there's some other guys out there that are probably a little bit more deserving. Like even Wonderboy, who's on a 2-fight win streak now, and he's matched as well. I don't remember who he's matched against, but he is matched. And if he wins that one, that's a 3-fight win streak, and he's been waiting for a title fight for a long time. And as you said, Leon is a great option. The only problem with these guys who are matched, at least Colby isn't, if Usman does win impressively and comes out unscathed, you have a ready-made contender there. The only thing I will say is I wouldn't believe a word that Dana White says. So even though he said this, it doesn't matter. Like, just scratch that from the record. Doesn't really matter.
He's right, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But I mean, if Leon comes in, right, and he finishes Nate Diaz, and it's not a cut. Like, I mean, I know this is pretty crazy talk given who Nate Diaz is. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, if Leon came in and smoked Nate Diaz, like, what was that fight for then? Why did you do that fight if you weren't going to put him in a title situation if he has a hugely impressive win? Like, it makes no sense, because the reason I thought they made this fight was, first of all, they want Nate Diaz at play. They probably don't want to pay him as much as he wants, but they want him at play. They want him on UFC events so people will tune in and buy it. So he says, I want a fight that's going to put me directly into the title conversation. So they give him Leon Edwards, which makes sense. Leon's a top guy in the division. So what does Leon get from it? He fights one of the biggest names in the UFC, gets the opportunity to make an impression, therefore generate eyeballs, generate interest in his story, so he can go on and fight for the fucking title. So what are we doing now? We're just going to sit him out for another year and a half if he wins this fight? Because we can do this all day long. What if Colby wins the title? It's going to be an Usman rematch. It's going to be a Masvidal rematch. Then, Masvidal or Usman's back in the scene. It's just, I don't know. It's annoying me.
Yeah, it's quite logjammed, isn't it? I mean, like, this is a perfect matchup, the Diaz one, to get Leon the title fight, because really the only thing he's missing, it's not wins. He has wins and he has plenty of them. It's the name. It's somebody that he can say, like, even though Nate Diaz isn't the most credentialed guy in the world, it's somebody you can say, I beat this huge name and it's going to catapult me into this title fight. So I do agree. I mean, even Nate Diaz, like, I don't think he should get a title fight coming off it. But if you beat Leon Edwards, who rightfully should be in there, I mean, you can make the argument for him as well. So it's kind of logjammed up there. And I don't like the fact that people are waiting out like Colby. But I mean, I'd watch all them fights. They're all very good fights, to be honest.
I don't think it's going to be as easy to negotiate with Jorge Masvidal as people kind of make it out to be.
No.
Like, we even know, right? They made this fight. They tried to make it last year. Didn't happen. In the end, they had to extend him a big bump in pay to get him to step up on a week's notice. They wanted to do the Ultimate Fighter with these two guys, but they couldn't pay Masvidal enough. So what do you think is going to happen if he becomes the champion? He's the BMF. He's the welterweight champion. Oh, will you fight Colby Covington, a guy you hate, and give him one of the biggest paydays of his life? Maybe he's going to think, you know what? Fuck him. And what are the UFC going to do then?
Yeah, that is a big issue. I think he's going straight for the money fights, whatever those money fights
Canelo.
are.
Same thing
Canelo,
as he did after the BMF thing, and everyone be like, well, we loved you up until right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people are turning on him already, but yeah.
He won me back. He won me back with that Helwani interview, I have to say. Because
that was good.
I think everybody was just like why? I don't like fighters politics. It's a constant thing that's being brought up. In fact, it was used to sell the biggest pay-per-view of all time in the UFC, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Conor McGregor, the culture clash there. That was huge. They also used it recently, Tyron Woodley v. Colby Covington. Crazy shit was said in the lead up to that fight. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
For me, though, it wasn't even the politics stuff. Like, I couldn't really care less, whatever. Like, half of the UFC roster, 90% of the UFC roster swings a certain way politically. But it was more so like he was talking about how he wanted to fight everybody. He wanted to finish everybody, baptize everybody. And then it seemed like he was picking and choosing fights. And I know that's the smart thing to do, and I don't care about that. Like, do that because it's good for your career. But in terms of what he was representing before the Ben Askren fight specifically, it kind of changed. It kind of flipped. So I think that's why a lot of fans maybe were turned off by him. But that interview was good. He did make a good account of himself. So we'll see what happens.
He kind of reminded me, like, oh, this is why I love this guy. Because when it comes to the fight game, he doesn't fuck around. I mean, he is going to go in there and try to take this guy's head off. And that's what we all want to see. We all want to see Jorge Masvidal kind of fulfilling this prophecy he laid out ahead of the Darren Till fight. I interviewed him in London. You know, he basically laid this all out, and we were all going, yeah, all right, but Till's going to knock you out on Saturday. So what are we talking about? And then that's the story, though. Like, so many fighters get upset when you pick the other guy, but they don't see the other side of that. If you go out there and you do what Masvidal did against Till, and then suddenly the world is taking notice, and then you parlay that into a fight with Ben Askren, and you do that to Ben Askren, and then it becomes this thing. Like, where in the fuck did Jorge Masvidal come from? And why is all I want to do is just watch the guy fight now? Like, that's the flip side of being the underdog.
Yeah. All right. Good rants. I like it. We are moving on now to everyone's favorite topic.
One championship. Oh, why didn't you put it first on the list?
Lads, vote PT.
Yeah.
Keep the trend going. Come on.
Actually, no, wait, Rob. This you start this one. This is the off vote one. So
you're doing me dirty.
We're not voting for this one. Rob is getting to take it for the team. So we got the we'll vote on the next one. So maybe we'll get some redemption there. But yes, so we got the headline of Lineker versus Worthen. So after two really what are you saying? All right. After two really high-profile cards in a row for one's debut on TNT, Lineker versus Worthen is the headliner this week. Is this good enough? So that's what we're talking about. Rob, give us your most in-depth and concise thoughts for a minute. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, 1 minute, man, starting now.
So KSW 60, that goes down this weekend, doesn't it? So no, I'm
such a
only
good
joking.
card.
Yeah, I don't. It's a good fight in terms of the Lineker fight, in terms of like action, because Lineker is that type of guy, and the other guy's a bit of a finisher too. I haven't seen a whole lot of him. I had to watch some highlights, if I'm honest, before the show. But I mean, is it good enough in terms of like, are you going to draw in ratings with this? I think definitely not, because if you look at the ratings that one has done with their last couple of shows, they haven't been good, and they had some, I wouldn't say stars, but some big names, like Demetrius was on that, Eddie Alvarez was on them cards. So with John Lineker, who, he's a fun fighter for the hardcore fans, I don't think you're bringing in many UFC fans with that fight. You're also not going to bring in too many casual fans. But what I will say is, it probably will be a good fight. It probably will be a fun fight. But in terms of like you being on like this network or whatever, cable, whatever it is in the States, I don't think it's the best main event you could do.
Nice. All right, Petey, give us your minute thought on your favorite promotion. Is this headline, Lineker versus Worthen, is it good enough? 4-1.
No. Oh, sorry.
That was your short answer. You got 1 minute starting now.
Yeah, I don't like. I'm not staying up to watch this fight. I did the first week, but it filled me with such resentment that I just don't want to really watch. I don't want to stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning to watch this stuff anymore. Me and Rob were talking about this before we came on air, and we're MMA guys, right? But we know more about the guys in the Muay Thai fight in this card, Holson and who was it?
John Empire.
John Wayne Parr. Then we do about Lineker and who is it?
Worthen.
Worthen.
You see? No. And look, they had so much momentum going into that first week. I think we all wanted them to succeed. We all wanted them to knock it out of the park. But it was just tough going. It was tough going. Like I'm even on the one broadcast, they talk about how great the promotion is constantly. Like, we know you work for them. Like, you don't have to. MMA on Point is great. It's the greatest show in the world. It doesn't really mean the same thing when the guys who work there say it. And it's just like, it kind of insults my intelligence a bit from a guy who's watching this for so long. Like, what you tell? They kind of framed it around, oh, these UFC guys are coming over and they're having a tough time. That's literally the bed they played at the start of the thing. And you're like, when are you going to explain that they're competing in a division heavier than they're used to? These guys are a stone heavier than their usual opponents. Not a word about that after the Mariah's knockout of Demetrius Johnson. So, yeah, can't wait for it, lads.
I wasn't expecting that much from you, PT, but well done.
We hit a roll there. It's kind of like when you're having the runs and you're on the bog and you're like, it's over now. It's got to be over now. And then just, you're going to stand up and it keeps coming. But do you get that, what I'm saying? Like, when they're talking about how great it is, you're like, mate, like if you're watching fucking one championship, you like MMA. You know the score. You know the lay of the land. Like, why do you keep telling us it's the best thing in the world and these UFC guys can't hang with our guys? Like, the framing of it is just a bit artificial to me sometimes.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because they have a lot of good fighters. And some of the fights are really good, but everything around it isn't the best,
But they still have 7 trillion viewers a week. So, I mean, they don't care if I'm not watching. They don't care.
All right. Well, PC, you got into that answer. I like it. All right. Moving on to our final Kumite. We are voting on this one. So last chance, put your vote in the chat. Should Rob take it? He has not been getting as much love from you guys. So should he get some redemption? He says it's fine, but so vote for Rob or PT. Who should take it first? We got the headline, Pettis in PFL. So Anthony Pettis.
Hey, Rob just texted me on the slide, said it wasn't fine, so make sure you vote for him.
So Anthony Pettis is making his debut for PFL this weekend in their lightweight tournament. How do you like his chances to win the $1 million prize? So that is what we were talking about. Let's dive over to the chat. Yeah. 4 for Rob already. I don't see him. Oh, 1 for PT. So it's looking,
do as I command, damn it.
Yeah, I think Rob, I think you're gonna start off the end for us. So what are your thoughts on Pettis in PFL? What do you think his chances are to win this prize? You got 1 minute starting now.
I feel like that was a pity vote, but whatever. Yeah, I do like his chances. I mean, one thing that he does have coming into this, and I mean, his last couple of fights in the UFC weren't bad. He actually looked really good in his last one. And one thing he does have is the big fight experience on that big stage, which a lot of the PFL guys won't have. I mean, I know there are a lot of ex-UFC guys there. He's fighting Clay Collard, isn't it? Or I think it's Clay Collard who was boxing a lot. He was on a few big boxing cards recently. And I know some of those guys are there, but in terms of like what Pettis has done in his career, he's seen this. This is nothing to him in terms of the platform. So he has that, and he's on a good run. And I mean, look at the roster of guys there in the PFL, the lightweights. I think most of them are beatable. You have the champion from last season coming back, and Nathan Schultz. So that could be an interesting one. But in terms of like Marcin Held could be tough for Pettis just because he could take him down. But the rest of the guys, I think they're all beatable. So I think he's going to do well.
Nice. All right. Petey, thoughts on Pettis in PFL? What are his chances on winning? You got 1 minute starting now.
I actually love this card. So I don't want you to think I'm hating against smaller organizations in the UFC. I love PFL. But like, look, this is their kind of season opener too. So one had a good season opener on paper. So all right, let's just calm down and wait to see what happens. I will say one thing. I love Anthony Pettis. I love watching him for a long time. But I think the matchup here against Cassius Clay Collard is not really going to show us his best, like as in the most attractive way he can fight, because Collard's such a good boxer now. Like this guy is really competing in boxing. Unbelievable record. And we want to see Pettis strike, but I guarantee you against a guy like Collard, he's taking him down because he's a wizard on the ground too. So that's the one thing I will say. But I really want to say, I cannot wait for Brendan Loughlin's tournament debut in PFL. He's had 2 fights or 3 fights so far, all wins. This is something that the UK and Irish MMA fans have been waiting for a long time. He's fighting Shaman Moraes at the top of the prelim card, and I cannot wait for that. I am going to be watching live.
Ooh, live, you say?
Live.
Well, cool, guys. Well, that officially concludes the Kumite Crunch. We're going to jump to general chat now, so if you guys have any questions, statements, hot takes, sure, we can, if we want to, yeah, we'll see if we can get to that topic. But we do have a few super chats I want to get to real quick. I wanted to wait till after the Kumite, so thanks for being patient, guys. But the first one we have is $5 from James Amade. I recognize your name, and good to see you again, but I never know how to say that last name. But gave us $5, said we have live fans at $100 in an arena in the USA again. I'm so excited. Also, Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman, fight of the night. Do you guys have any thoughts on that being fight of the night?
Yeah, I don't think it will.
That reaction.
No, Chris Weidman and Uriah Hall on their best day are unbelievable fighters. But I think just the matchup itself, I think it's going to have an emphatic winner, to be honest, because I think it's either going to be Chris Weidman submitting Uriah Hall or Uriah Hall KOing Chris Weidman. So I don't know if it's going to be the contest that we want, like in terms of a back and forth, a flowing fight. I think someone's going to have a serious advantage depending on where the fight is played out. So for that reason, I disagree, but you have every right to be excited about that. It's a good fight.
Yeah, I mean, like it has potential to be good. Like Uriah Hall is, as you said, is a fun fighter. Chris Weidman can be a fun fighter if he wants to be. But I do think it's going to be a clash of styles. I think you're going to have Weidman looking for takedowns, Hall trying to defend those and land his shots. I just think those 3 title fights, especially the Whaley and Rose one, and even the main event, depending on how it goes, they're definitely the fights that you should be looking at as fight of the night, for me anyway. And then there are some fights lower down the card, but we'll see. In terms of fight of the night, there could be ones. I mean, the Smith crew fight could be all right. Could be all right.
Yeah, cool. Like in fairness, like I was giving this card a bit of shit outside of those 3 top fights, but I mean, it could be worse. You know, like these are at least guys we know. We've consumed their careers to a certain degree. Like we do have skin in the game, right? And that's important at 3 a.m. Believe me, it is.
Yeah.
All right, moving on through the super chats. We've got a $10 one from Arlen Jenkins. Thank you so much. They said, finally get to donate. Anyways, looking for Zhang to kill Rose. So we kind of touched on that. So you guys want to give some more thoughts on that title matchup?
I think this sentiment, right, has been shaped by this article that came out with the Lithuanian outlet. And look, when you look at that article and you take that at face value, yeah, like I completely understand that it's not the most politically correct thing that she said there about Zhang Weili, or at least they framed it that way, that she's talking about uh, Zhang Weili. But when she later explained this on in her interview with Helwani, she talked about the fact that she finds a motivation inside herself by looking at the struggle the Lithuanian people had under the Soviet Union. And she cited a documentary called The Other Dream Team. And you should watch it because I educated myself. I went off and watched it. And basically she said on Helwani's show, like, I wasn't trying to direct like a vendetta towards Weili Zhang. I was trying to say that I am motivated by seeing that struggle. And of course, Zhang comes from a communist nation. We know that in China. And she was drawing parallels between that. But I think she's gone out of her way to clarify what she said. She has a lot of respect for Zhang. It's just like we need to start really like thinking about how we consume things, because when she fought Joanna the first time, this person won over the whole fan base because they could relate to her in terms of humanity and sensitivity. Joanna was the bully, right? That's the way they were trying to shape it. Look at this bully coming after this sensitive girl, and then she goes off, she becomes a star, and one interview is going to turn her into a villain. Come on. I don't buy that. I think she's a very nice person. I think we all saw before the Jessica Andrade knockout, Andrade gave her a rose. And then, of course, we know what happened in the fight. She gets slammed in her head. I think she's very calculated in terms of giving herself some drive, giving herself some motivation to compete with these people. We can't be friends with these people. And I think that's what that's about. I think she's looking at the struggle Lithuania had with the Soviet Union, and her direct members of her family died because of that. And she's trying to find some motivation out of that. That's the way I read it. I just don't buy that she goes from this the personification of sensitivity, humanity in the Joanna fight to this villain now. I don't buy that for a second.
I think you're right. I think it was a bit misplaced in terms of like who she's fighting and when she said the comment. But I agree that she seems like the type that needs to get up for a fight, and this is one way that she'll get up for it. Not that she's trying to compare Weili Zhang or try blame her for like communist China, but I think if you make the comparison with like Cowboy Cerrone, who for him personally he likes to be friends with the guy, he doesn't really like there to be a rivalry, and that's been well documented. But then there's other fighters who they like to have some kind of animosity, or maybe animosity is the wrong word, but like some kind of motivation to beat them. And this is just her way of finding it, because there's no other way to find it against Weili Zhang, who's a very nice human as well. So I don't like blame her too much for the comments. As you said, I haven't watched the documentary. I must check it out. I've read like the struggle that the Lithuanian people had, and of course that was awful. But in terms of like the way the article was structured, it seemed like it was directly said about her when it didn't seem to be. There was kind of a bit of a miscommunication there, maybe intentional. I don't know, but yeah, she's definitely not the villain. I wouldn't call her a villain.
Rob, this is one thing I was thinking about, and I know it's heavier, right? I know the political stuff, when you bring that stuff in, it's a lot heavier than a personal insult and stuff like this. But I can remember, did you watch The Last Dance?
Yes.
So there's a part in The Last Dance, I think it's episode 6, and there's a citation to a game that Jordan played maybe in 1990 or something, where he came into the dressing room afterwards and he said to everyone there, he said, that guy, he had a great game, and he said to me after, nice game. And this fueled the whole series then. Jordan went out, played amazing, for the next wins whatever series it was anyway, and plays phenomenally. And then afterwards, he's in front of the media and they say, was this all because of that nice game comment? And he said, I made that up. I made that up to drive everyone around me and to drive myself to victory in this fight. And everyone was like, every media member there is like, yeah, that makes sense. That's why he's the greatest.
Yeah.
I think it was something like that. I think I'm not trying to say that Rose made up an emotion that she has based on Lithuania's struggle with the Soviet Union. I 100% believe that's true. I 100% believe that's a true sentiment. But I think where things got confused is where she's drawing parallels between Wiley and that situation. I think that's where. And look, it's a tough parallel to make too. Like, it's not an obvious connection there for me. That's why I'm like, this feels a bit harsh. People saying like, look at this absolute psychopath Rose Namajunas now, because I don't get that vibe off her at all.
That documentary was like a case study in like sports psychology or something. The Last Dance,
a genius of sports psychology.
Exactly. And I mean, if you watch that documentary, you will come out and realize that these guys and girls are wired completely different than all of us. I assume maybe there's one guy in the chat who's an absolute psycho who's wired like them, but it is true, they're wired completely different. Like Michael Jordan used to like bet with people just so he could win. He just wanted to win games. He wanted to win bets. So he used to play poker and cards and stuff on planes just to get that satisfaction of winning. They're just wired differently. So I can definitely see a similar comparison to Rose, not comparing it to Michael Jordan, obviously, but similar mindset of trying to, exactly.
It's funny you say about Jordan like betting just so he can try and win. If you looked at my recent bets on Paddy Power, I think they'd think I was betting just to lose. Interesting you say that.
That's usually the case, unfortunately.
All right, we got a few more super chats to get through. Brian Young, good to see you as always. $4.99 said, still waiting for you, Lawton, and that's in reference to Kumite. So maybe, Jason, if you're still here, maybe we could... let's talk about the topics next week. Maybe next week, one topic, not all of them. Maybe one of them that I can maybe prep a little on. I'll give a little take in the Kumite section. We'll make it happen, Brian. We appreciate your super chat. Arlen Jenkins, who said the Zhang to kill Rose comment, gave us another $5, so thank you again, and said, just to clear it up, I've never liked Rose. It could be anyone beating her. I'd still be happy. So... Arlen really just
thought that's what you're talking about, because I felt like we would have to talk about that at some point. Sorry, so I shouldn't have said that. I didn't want to say that you directly think that, but I said there was a lot of sentiment going around, which I think there is. And if you hate Rose, you do what you want, baby. Because you need emotion in the fight game, right? Like, that's another thing. Like, it's just this whole thing of people like Rose stepped over the line. They sold the whole fucking Nurmagomedov v McGregor fight on McGregor calling him a backwards see you next Tuesday. See you next Tuesday being an abbreviation for another word that we can only say in Ireland and the UK. You guys in America very upset. But and Woodley and Colby, like Colby was like saying crazy shit after that fight. It was absolutely insane. And then they're like, Rose of Lithuanian descent didn't like the Soviet Union? What?
All right,
because she clarified the fucking comment. Like, it's not like people like she's left it out there in the air. I said what I said. Deal with it, Zhang. I said what I said. She said I definitely wasn't talking about her, and people just disregard it. La 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 la. I have to write this tweet because it's very upset. Bullshit.
I'm very angry and I have to get my point across. But awesome, Arlen. Thank you for your super chats and thanks for giving us a topic to talk about. We got one more super chat for now. We got Alberto Martinez, $5. Thank you so much. There's a few thoughts in this one. So first one is Marty Snoozman beats Street Jesus. And then what do you think about Leon Love disrespecting T Wood? Also, loved De La Hoya commenting, LOL.
Oh, yes. So, this man's a legend. Give him back his money.
This is Petey's topic.
All right, first one. Give him to me slowly here, Lawton. What's the first one?
We got Marty Snoozman beats Street Jesus.
You'd have to go. I think the safe money's on Marty Snoozman. My favorite Colby name for Usman is Marty Fake Newsman, though. I think that's the best one. Like,
rolls off the
first time I heard that, I nearly pissed myself laughing. I thought it was unbelievable. And I'm not even a Colby fan, so that'll show you how hard that one hit. And give me the real juice. This is the next questions. I'm really excited about these ones.
So I think there might be a typo here. It said, what do you think about J. Leon Love disrespecting T. Wood? I think he just meant Leon Love.
Yeah, I think that's his name, all right.
Yeah, it's J. Leon, yeah.
J. Leon Love disrespecting T. Wood. So that's a second thought.
I didn't like that, right? But I kind of did. Because this whole event was like, what am I watching? But why can't I stop watching it? as I said to the lads beforehand, I've never been so exhausted by asses in my life. I've never been like, that's enough for me for the next year. It was the type of broadcast that if I was watching it when I was 14 and my ma walked into the room, I'd have to change the channel. I felt weird watching it. It was just, it was kind of a concert for a long time, but the kind of Twilight Zone that it felt like it was in was kind of, well, I'm going to have to keep watching this. Tyron Woodley needs a segue into that game. We've already seen him on ESPN trying to get that fight with Jake Paul, and that conversation with that dude who was like, what you know about boxing gloves? That's after getting really the MMA community up in arms. So look, I hope Woodley goes and gets his payday. This is what it's about at the end of the day. And finally, Oscar De La Hoya. Oh my God. That could have been they could have billed that. They could have been like, Oscar De La Hoya is going to come on exceptionally intoxicated and try to give fighters advice from the commentary booth, just basically scream at them. I felt like someone was holding up a piece of paper that was sitting beside Oscar at one stage that said, stop, just stop talking, please. You're on TV. And he was just too blinkered, just wanted to see what was going on. Thought he was nailing it because everybody's doing that like awkward laugh beside him. Everyone's like, yeah, keep going. He's like screaming advice at Frank Mir. Absolutely ridiculous, but what a beautiful car crash to watch. I mean, absolutely captivating stuff. I mean, this fella's due to fight in July. And it's insane. I don't know what's happened to boxing, but...
Do you know what's mad about the whole broadcast? I wonder, like, do you ever watch like a really terrible film? Like Troll 2 or like The Room or something? And those people were trying to make a good film. Like they were trying very hard. I wonder if this whole production was they are trying to put on a good show, or they were just like, you know what? Fuck it, let's just go mental. And we know it's terrible. I wonder.
I felt like everyone involved was highly intoxicated.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, I wouldn't rule it out that Jake Paul had a few drinks before he went out there. Like, I mean, everybody like
drinks.
I've never been like. I can remember the next day, I tweeted Lobov v Jake Paul, which I still think is absolutely the fight to make.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah.
I love it. Jake Paul's not going to fight someone that can beat it. Like, you know, in theory, he has to think he can beat the guy. So the pick for Lobov is he's going to look at Lobov's size and just be like, this guy can't do it. And he has an even record in MMA. Ben Askren has a way better record, and I beat him. So that's why I think it's actually a possibility with Artem. And he is our icon. He is the GOAT. So I think that plays into the MMA side of things as well. That's what I went for. But somebody wrote back and said to me, like, only children and teenagers are watching that. If I caught a child watching that broadcast, I'd send them to the church to be exorcised. Do you hear me? I don't know. But the world has just changed since I was a teenager, obviously, because Jesus Christ. I mean, it felt like one of Snoop Dogg's old videos that he used to do, all them doggy style ones, basically porn. That's what I thought I was watching.
Yeah. But I made the comparison before we went onto this chat that it was like old pro wrestling, like WWF in the like 90s, because you're watching it as a whatever, I don't know what age. I was like whatever, 10 or something, less than that. And like there's just boobs and ass and everything everywhere. And your parents don't know. They don't know. They're just like, oh, it's wrestling, it's fake. And you're there like, oh my God, like 10-year-olds. And that's what it reminded me of. Like pro wrestling back in the 90s. It was insane.
You can just imagine big groups of men getting together across the US to watch this and just good for the first 10 minutes. But this is weird.
Oh Lord! All right, so we are officially
got that out of our system. Glad we got that out of our systems. I promised Jake Paul.
We got the Jake Paul out of the system, so we're good there. But all right, so we are officially caught up on super chats. If anyone has some more topics they want to talk about, you don't have to super chat us. We do appreciate the super chats, and we kind of make sure we take care of those. But we are still on the air for another 40, 45 more minutes. So if you guys have topics, and Rob, PT, if you guys have a topic you want to go off the cuff right now for, feel free to. I'm trying to go through the chat right now.
I want to ask Rob a question because he brought this up earlier. And I'm usually really up on this stuff, but I'm not this week. ASW 60, Rob. Why are you interested in this fight card?
Mainly, to be honest, just the main event. Like Phil DeFries has had a really interesting career. like UFC it was meh. You know, he had what three losses, 2 wins, something like that. Got released. Then the early part of his career after the UFC, I thought he was kind of done. I was like, you know, he has a few losses now and against lower level guys. But then he goes on this crazy run, wins the heavyweight title, and kind of at a similar time, you have Narkun fighting Khalidov, who's probably, I mean, historically at least KSW's biggest guy in terms of popularity, and probably their best fighter too. Like you could say Pudzianowski or something in Poland would be a rival, but not in terms of talent. So I like the rematch. I thought the first fight was good. It was pure domination, but I mean, the size difference wasn't that prevalent to me. I thought it would have been bigger. So I like the rematch. I like to see what Narkun can do after, he has 2 wins now in a row, 2 submissions. So yeah, I like the main event.
That's what's the killer for me though, because like, I mean, so many people were up in arms, right? Usman v Masvidal. Why are we doing it again? If you thought that was one-sided, you should have watched the first time Phil DeFries got his hands on Thomas Narkun. Like, I completely mirror your sentiment in terms of Phil DeFries. I think he's one of the most amazing stories of resurgence in the history of UK MMA. And it's not like he's going in there and you know, competing. He's beating all of these Polish monsters, man. He's destroying guys. And, you know, I think the problem with KSW at the moment is they're finding it hard to book competitive matches for Phil DeFries. And this booking just kind of said that to me. When I saw it, I was like, wow,
sure.
Like that's where we are now. Look, and I love KSW. Believe me, I love the event so much. I don't miss them. I'll definitely be watching. But yeah, that's the one thing I'd have to say that kind of is going against me getting really hyped for the fight. And obviously we have Zielkowski fighting for the lightweight title, defending. This is his first defense, is it? Of the lightweight title. Yeah, so I mean, they have that boxer who's come across. You have Alexander Illich. It is a very good fight, but I don't know. Like, I'm just finding it hard to get up for the main event, and I usually am absolutely psyched for the KSW main events. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I like Narkun. I think as well. Like we've seen rematches completely flip on their head before. It's not often, but we've seen it. And, you know, heavyweight, anything can happen. The problem with heavyweight in general, not just with KSW, just across the world in every promotion, it's just not that many quality heavyweights. So it is difficult to find them good matchups. At least Narkun is a good fighter, and he's got to try something different, hopefully, this time. So it's definitely one to watch. Definitely catch it for sure if you don't usually watch KSW, if you're in the chat. Yeah. Give it a look.
Why don't they bring in someone from boxing like Frank Mir?
I didn't actually see that fight. I skipped that one. Yeah, I know. I didn't see that one.
That was the one where Oscar was given his amazing commentating booth, commentary booth voice. So, I mean, that was the main event for a lot of people, including this guy.
We got a comment I saw. I recognize this name. I just want to draw attention. So Reese McMillan, remember your name, said, I was in the chat a few weeks back when Rob and Pizzi were doing the show together. I asked about Dean Barry, and he got a fight in Titan, and I want to see what y'all think about it. So do you go?
Very confused. Very, very confused. I mean, are you with me on this, Rob? This is a weird one. I haven't seen, like, I believe you because someone said this to me on the phone a couple of weeks ago that Dean Barry was in fact fighting in Titan now rather than the UFC. I don't know how the hell that happened. Like if you've signed for the UFC, I don't know why the hell you would be having a fight elsewhere. And I mean, I'm very confused by that. I don't really have a relationship with Dean where I could just hit him up and have a chat with him. I know him, he's a nice guy, but I don't have that kind of rapport with him as of yet. So I don't know. Someone rang me about this a couple of weeks ago and said this was happening, and I was like, that's not happening. But if you're saying it's happening, it must be happening.
It says on, you can't always trust it, but it says on Tapology that the fight is on, and then it says on the Mike Jackson fight, Barry withdrew. I don't know. I didn't see anything on it. I mean, it's really strange. Is Titan one of these promotions that is on Fight Pass?
Would it be like a UFC? Do you remember Darren Stewart and Bartosz Fabinski fought on Cage Warriors at the very start of the pandemic?
What I mean. I wonder if it's one of those. I think it's on Fight Pass, isn't it?
But I don't get it because Barry's fought for UAE Warriors, like, I mean, and stuff like that. Like, I thought he would have naturally been fighting on Fight Island for his debut, you know?
Yeah.
Especially when Connor was fighting. I was like, this makes perfect sense. Shit, like, we've known about this since around Christmas time, haven't we? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I can't remember. Like, I mean, very strange and worrying a little bit for me, to be honest, because I don't understand how that's happened.
No, me neither.
Titan.
It's very strange.
Titan is on Fight Pass, by the way. I just looked it up. So
Yeah.
Well, let's
Maybe
hope
it's one of those.
situation like Rob mentioned, like where the UFC have allowed him to take this fight because for some reason.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. What could possibly be the reason? I don't. Titan's a US promotion, right?
Yeah.
I think,
So I assume.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's going to the US. There's no visa issue if he's going to the US to fight. That's weird as shit, boys.
Yeah.
That like
it's weird.
I have never heard of anything like that in my life. So I'll do my best to try and find out for you, man. I'll tell you next week.
Sweet.
All right, we got Michael Horowitz. Good to see you as always. We got a $4.99 super chat saying Jorge does not deserve another title shot this time or after this 18 years. Without the KO of Ben and the oh sorry, my screen went weird. And the beating he put on Till, without that, whose? Wait, Michael, what do you mean?
He'll read exactly what you put on the
Ron Burgundy.
teleprompter.
I usually prove these. Oh, wait. Without the KO of Ben and the beating he put on Till, without that, who's next? Maybe.
Who was he beating? Maybe.
Maybe.
Is he saying he doesn't deserve it?
Yeah, he's definitely saying Jorge does not deserve another title shot. Michael, can you don't have to super chat, but can you clarify that in the regular chat real quick? I just want to make sure I'm reading that last sentence right because it's a little confusing. But, I mean, we'll start with that. Do you guys think Jorge deserves another title shot after this?
No. I mean, it is what it is. The last one done big numbers, didn't it, on pay-per-view, as far as I remember. It was right at the start of the pandemic. So it is what it is. They have the narrative of it being short notice. I don't buy the whole thing that he didn't deserve it in the first place, though, because, I mean, you can say without the Nate Diaz win or the Askren knockout and the Darren Till knockout, then he wouldn't get it. But, like, they did happen. Like, you can't dismiss that they happened. It's a fight. So I thought he deserved it the first time around. The actual fight last time around wasn't that intriguing. It was, again, kind of domination. But it is what it is. I don't think he deserves it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way, especially hardcore MMA fans. But does Conor McGregor deserve another fight with Dustin Poirier? Why are they doing that? Because it will make a shit ton of money. If Masvidal manages to keep his star intact,
that's a weird one, though, isn't it? PT?
I wouldn't I wouldn't put it past the UFC, though. Honestly, like, I mean, they don't. Like, look at the hoops they're making Leon Edwards jump through, man. They cut him from the fucking roster on an 8-fight win streak because he wouldn't fight an unranked guy. You know? I just don't think it matters how we feel sometimes. And that's what's disappointing about the UFC. How many people were like, we've a conclusive answer to Poirier v. Conor now. And then they went and booked it. And then there was something about a donation and everyone was like, now I want to see it. So
the weird one, though, about actually both of these fights, come to think of it, is that it's the guy who is seemingly in the better position that wants it. Or, well, they both want it, but at least the guy in the better position seems to be pushing for it just as much or at least more. I mean, Usman was the guy who called out Jorge Masvidal after he won his last fight. And then Poirier clearly wants that rematch, the trilogy with Conor. So I guess, I mean, we can say like the UFC, it's terrible because these fights don't make sense and they don't deserve them. But I mean, if the champion and I guess the contender, the guy in the upper position, the A space or whatever, wants it, I mean, like, part of that, I think you have to take into account some of that, especially for someone like Poirier. I mean, the champion one is a bit weird because you can't be letting champions defend against anybody just because they want to make more money. But if it's a guy like Poirier who's given up a title fight because he wants to do this one, get it out of the way, make some money, I mean, it's fine with me, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, I don't mind it from Poirier's point of view. I don't mind it from Conor's point of view. I mind it from the UFC's point of view. I mean, Poirier is the uncrowned champion as far as we're concerned. I saw people kicking up shit because Chandler and Oliveira was booked. And look, we all wanted Oliveira v. Poirier, but they weren't going to make that because they know they can make money here. And, you know, I know why you're asking the question, guys. And I know you want Masvidal to just part ways with the UFC so he can do the biggest fight of all time against the problem child.
Why did I know that was coming?
The most deadliest hands in the business.
Oh Lord.
And that'll
Do what, Rob?
be a friends fighting too. That narrative
Best
too. Oh, jeez.
Oh my god.
So just clarification on Michael's super chat. I can't read today, so I apologize. But he's basically saying without the KO of Ben and the beating he put on Till, who is Jorge? Like, what else does he have? And he
Yeah,
also
they're pretty substantial things. Like, I mean, but that's like
Yeah.
saying, what if McGregor didn't knock out Aldo
Yeah.
and beat Eddie Alvarez? Who
Yeah.
is he? Huh?
Yeah.
Well, Michael, he also
Yeah.
says, I'm not dismissing it. I'm saying there are so many other fighters who deserve that shot.
Oh yeah.
So
Look,
that's kind of his point. Yeah.
I'm blue in the face talking about fucking Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
I mean, Leon Edwards gets worried at this stage. He's like, "Is that guy outside my fucking house?" Because
Yeah,
he just
yeah.
cannot
Stalker,
shut his
like.
fucking mouth.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. Now, but in Masvidal's defense, I will say the Thompson fight was dominant. Obviously, Ty done okay against Damian Maia, and if you go down his record, there's a lot of fights there that he did lose. That I mean, some of them, the one against Ali Quinta, he didn't lose that fight. Let's be honest, and he was on a good streak there against Ross Pearson, Jake Ellenberger, Donald Cerrone. He should have won them fights, but he still won them. So he's done a lot in his career, and he's been around forever. So I was fine with the original one, at least.
Like, he's got to do a better job in this fight, though. Like, I mean,
Oh yeah, definitely.
it's so important to his legacy, nearly, you know, because
Yeah.
it was a huge thing. Like, it was a huge addition to his iconography when he stepped up on short notice, and it just felt like all the momentum was building towards this shock the world moment, right? And look, I mean, the odds are stacked against him as soon as he signs that paper, but for some reason, he's one of those guys, and I honestly believe this: the best fighters are the guys who can make the fan base dream, make them believe. McGregor was so good at that, just making them think he can do anything. So many, like, I know they'll never fucking admit it. There's so many MMA fans going, I think Conor can do it against Mayweather. I talked to them. It was
Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrific. But that's what he's magic. Like, if you watch that interview with Uriah, you can't really hate the guy. You can't, because he's put in the long road. Like, when we're talking about what has Jorge Masvidal done, 18 years in this sport, man, that is not an easy road. No matter what way the eventual title shot came, after 18 years or some shit in the sport, that's unbelievable. That is such an amazing story.
And the big issue I thought with the first fight, was that he didn't really do a whole lot. I think that's the problem. Like, I'm a Leeds fan of football, and if you watch their first match of the season against Liverpool, they lost, but it was like an incredible showing that kind of it set the tone for the rest of the season. And I think if they went in there against Liverpool and even lost like 1-0 or something, but just didn't show up and look bad, I don't think the tone would have been set, and I think it would have damaged them a little bit. I mean, if they continue to do what they're doing now, it would have came back. But I think it's similar in this situation. He went in there with all this hype, and then he just didn't really show a whole lot. And you have to give Usman credit for stopping him doing a whole lot. But it's just that if that happens again and Masvidal just can't get going, I think it does harm him. If he goes out there and puts on a good performance and still loses, I think his star is still there. But if it's a bad performance and it's just lackluster and flat, I think that'll be the problem for him.
I mean, it's not as easy as like, a lot of people are kind of saying Usman just took this fight for money. It's not just money. It's I've said this before on the show. It's like Highlander, right? Like, when you decapitate the other dude, you take it's the quickening. You take their experience. You consume their history, their legacy. You take a little bit of that when you beat someone. And what does Usman want from this? It's pretty basic, right? Masvidal wants to be the guy. Before he hangs up his gloves, he wants to be the guy with that undisputed gold belt that says, I'm the best fighter in the world. Whereas Usman knows the best way for him to get attention, the best way for him to endear a fan base to him, the best way for him to make an impression is to beat the biggest star in the division. Yeah. So it's not just money. If he goes out there and does what he did against Gilbert Burns to Jorge Masvidal, this guy's going to become a bigger sensation than he already is. And look, you might laugh at that. You might go, oh, I'll never be behind Usman. You got to remember, in 2018, he was like being ridiculed up and down every forum, everything on the internet because of that 30% comment to Emil Neck. So it took him so long to get rid of that, right? But what are we talking about now when we talk about Kamaru Usman? We're talking about, is this guy the greatest welterweight of all time? I don't think he is. I think GSP is.
Yeah.
But that's a huge shift in narrative for Kamaru Usman to go from Mr. 30% to, is this guy the greatest? Another win over the biggest name in the game in terms of welterweight anyway. I mean, I think it makes sense for me. Like his star will become a lot brighter if he has another win, and a convincing one. More, well, I know the first one was convincing, but say more emphatic than the first one over Jorge Masvidal.
That's the thing. I think there's a question over that as well, because it's a similar one for me. If he goes in here and puts on a similar performance to the last one, which was dominant but not very fan friendly, and the reaction from the fan base wasn't great, I wonder what the sentiment will be then, because, you know, he asked for this fight and he said, I'm going to finish you now. Will the fans say, well, you know, you asked for this one now and you still couldn't finish him, and you still foot stomped him, and, you know, all that crack. So I do wonder, and maybe in the chat you can let us know, like, what would you think if Usman replicated that exact performance? Would you give him a lot of credit, or would it be, you should have finished this guy? Because to a lot of people still, as we said, Masvidal isn't the rightful contender, and he's not a journeyman, but for a lot of people, he's not a championship level fighter. Not for me. I think he's excellent, but that sentiment is out there. So I wonder what the reaction would be to that.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I don't know if this is disrespectful to Henry Hooft, and I don't mean it to be, but there was a lot made of his move over to Trevor Whitman's team after the Gilbert Burns fight, because he did such a good job striking with him after that initial onslaught from Gilbert Burns. Do you think that makes a difference? Like, I'm not trying to say Henry Hooft couldn't coach the guy. He's obviously a brilliant coach, but do you think that new fresh pair of eyes on his striking game will allow him to do something different maybe against Masvidal?
That's what I'm wondering. And like, if you're a Usman fan, you might be worried about that a little bit, because I've said this before, a lot of wrestlers, they fall in love with their hands. We've seen it throughout the history of the sport. And I'm not saying that Usman's hands aren't like love worthy. They were excellent against Gilbert, but he did get hurt. And if you're going to go in there and play that game against Jorge Masvidal, you're giving him openings that he doesn't need to have, that you don't need to give him. So the smart thing would be to go out there and wrestle. But he's going to have a lot of confidence in those hands. That jab was phenomenal last time out. And you're right. I mean, that move to Trevor Whitman has seemed to do wonders for him, for his striking anyway. And I'd imagine the rest of his game, because Whitman is just a good coach overall. But yeah, I mean, if he's very confident in his striking, which he should be, but if he's very confident and he wants to show it off, that's where Masvidal might get some openings in this fight. And that's what will make it very, very interesting, I think.
I expect, right, if it goes Usman's way, it'll be very like, right, so I think the big complaint about the first fight was he was so clearly winning and he just wouldn't gun it. Right, at the end, it was like,
yeah,
Masvidal, this is the fan perception. Masvidal's exhausted. You are well on top in this fight. Every round is playing out with you being victorious. Why aren't you just putting the foot down and looking for the finish?
Yeah.
And I think the first few rounds, if it's going Usman's way, will play out pretty much very like that performance, like him grinding him against the fence, him annoying him in the clinch, taking him down, making him get back up, taking him back down. And then I think if he has that similar rhythm going, I think in 4 and 5 we'll see him put the foot down.
Yeah.
So Michael gave us another super chat, kind of wrapping his thoughts up. He said, I just don't see Jorge closing the gap like that, even with 6 weeks. So just wanted to chime that in. Michael, thank you again for all those super chats. That was actually a really good conversation. Yeah. And you two had a lot to say about it. I liked it. But we do have one more super chat. I don't want to, it got kind of behind, so I want to catch up. But Alberto Martinez, again, $5. Thank you so much.
What a name. What a name.
I know.
Yes,
that was a great name.
Holy shit.
So he asked, Oliveira versus Justin, who wins? Also, will the current champions stay on top? I want to make sure my screen's cut off again. Will the current champions stay on top, or will we see new champions this year? Who will fall?
Oh, that's fun.
That's very fun. I love them kind of questions.
Yeah. Let's get the rankings up.
What was the first one, though? The first one was
first
Oliveira
one is Oliveira versus Justin. Or wait, actually, he said Justin. I wonder if he meant Chandler.
Well, let's answer that one and Dustin.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll tackle that. So Oliveira, Justin, who wins? Go.
I think I don't like that fight for Charles Oliveira, I gotta say. Even though I think a lot of people are down on Gaethje after the Khabib fight. They're like, well, he was able to take you down. I think it's a different story when Khabib Nurmagomedov's taking you down than anyone else. And I just think, you know, Charles looks great in the exchanges at times. When it's going his way, he looks fantastic. Gaethje tends to look fantastic whether it's going his way or not in exchanges.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he just always dangerous. And if you tried to fight him like that, it's very hard to pick against him, right? Like, I mean, of course, we saw Poirier, we saw Alvarez, those situations, but he's a different fighter now. He's so calculated. I don't like that fight for Oliveira. As good as he has been stunning, but I don't like that fight for him. And I don't think I like Dustin either.
Historically, I'll say I don't like the fight either. I think you're completely right on that. I mean, Oliveira has crumbled under pressure. I don't mean pressure as in like the bright lights or anything like that. I mean pressure as in striking pressure. And yeah, I mean, the Tony Ferguson fight, he was under some pressure there, and I thought he looked great. I mean, since he's been at lightweight, I've been trying to change my opinion on Oliveira because he's shown that he can get through that fire that he used to not be able to. So I'd probably pick Gaethje. It might change after the fight, whenever it is in a couple of weeks. But I'd probably pick Gaethje right now. But my opinion on Oliveira is constantly changing because I think he's getting so much better and he's just improving. I think mentally is the biggest thing with him.
Yeah,
it's improving a lot.
I agree. Well, do you want to play this game? So we ask.
Oh, yes.
Right, so let's start at flyweight. Davison Figueiredo. Obviously, we have Brandon Moreno. We fought to a draw. We have Askar Askarov. I think they're the biggest contenders he'll probably face this year. Yeah. I wouldn't rule out Askar Askarov, but I do think the safe money for me is on Davison having the title at the end of the year.
I'm gonna say Askar Askarov wins the belt. I think he's a nightmare matchup for Davison if he doesn't get caught, because Davison has unbelievable firepower.
He was in my school of 2018 prospects to watch, would you believe? Askar Askarov. What a man.
Nice.
Look, I know we've got some Aljamain fans here, but no. I'm not.
He's going to win the rematch and he's going to clear out the division. No, I don't think so.
Piotr Jan all day long and twice on a Sunday.
If it happens this year, I guess.
Well, do we have 9 months now? So maybe Aljamain.
Hey, we didn't specify if they don't get a fight by the end of the year.
That's a good bet. Will it happen? Ooh, I don't know. Jesus.
If he fights, I don't think he'll be the champ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Because it's either going to be like Corey Sandhagen or Piotr Jan. And I honestly don't know who'd win between Sandhagen and Jan. So I felt like Jan answered the question quite emphatically without having his hand raised when he did fight.
I'll say no.
This is champion. An interesting one. Volkanovski at featherweight. Obviously, the Ortega fight didn't happen, but Holloway is looking fucking unbelievable. Magomed Sharapov hasn't got his shot yet. I mean, what do you do with that one?
I mean, the Ortega fight is gonna happen, right? It's kind of been kicked down the road with tough, but it's gonna happen. Hopefully, that's a tough fight already.
Yeah,
I think Volkanovski wins that. Just probably similar to the Max fight, where everyone's like, "Oh no, Ortega won that one," but I think he wins it. Oh Jesus, I don't know. I think a rematch with Max. I think Max will finally get it done in not in just the hearts of MMA fans, but in the minds of judges if it goes that direction. But I don't know if they're gonna actually get that in by the end of the year. I don't know. I'm gonna say Volkanovski holds on with one title defense.
Yeah, I think it would be exceptionally it's gonna be if Max goes in and beats him at the third time and he loses. That's gonna be very hard for Volkanovski. Lightweight doesn't have a champion, so I'm gonna say yes, there will be a new champion.
Good show. Probably put a jinx on it now. Watch a draw.
Who do you think though? Right, based on how it's played out, because Dustin's fighting Connor, Charles is fighting Chandler. If we had to pick, I think there's not going to be that many fights. I think they're going to do Chandler v Oliveira. They're going to do Dustin and Connor. I don't think them lads are going to fight again. I just don't. So I think we're looking at the winner of Oliveira v Chandler, to be honest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are we saying who we think?
Yeah, go on. I feel the same way about this. I'm really
torn on it. I'm gonna say Chandler. But I'm not confident. If Michael Chandler's watching, I'm very confident.
I'm gonna say Chandler too, because he just hasn't fucking put a foot wrong. Everybody look, I didn't think he was going to beat Dan Hooker. I'll be completely honest. I was like, this is a terrible fight for Michael Chandler. He's too short. He's going to get the wake-up call of his life coming in here. And then he fucking turfs him immediately.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know. And I think the fact that he's short will help him in terms of takedown defense against Oliveira as well.
Yeah. And he has great takedown defense already.
Yeah.
I think this is going to play out on the feet, and Oliveira's striking has got a lot better. But I like Chandler's power. And that's probably where I'll go.
I'm aroused by his power, to be honest. Right, Usman, all this conversation about the GOAT, all of this stuff. We have Masvidal this weekend. I think we're both kind of saying we fancy Usman to get it done. But obviously, we know Colby Covington is next, and we've never seen. Oh wait. Yeah, we did see that fight before. How do you think? Do you think he'll have the title at the end of the year?
Yeah, I do. This is so far. This is the one I'm probably most confident in.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Which means it'll probably go wrong on me, but yeah, I'm confident enough in it. I'll say that Usman keeps the belt. And again, I don't know if he might fight one more time after this, but you never know. You really never know.
It's gonna be Colby if he does anyway.
Yeah.
Because if Leon Edwards was in that mix, boys, no one pick. But Israel Adesanya middleweight. I think Izzy stays.
Yeah, I agree. Whitaker's an interesting rematch if it happens. I don't fancy Vettori in that match, but yeah, I'll say keeps.
Jan Blachowicz. I just want to say I'm picking Jan Blachowicz to keep the title because he has been so unloved, and I just want to say,
I know.
I'm so fucking confident that Jan Blachowicz is keeping that title.
Yeah, is he fighting Glover?
Yeah,
That'd be another fairy tale win. To be fair, now Glover is an absolute legend, but I wouldn't pick him in that fight. So yeah, I'll say Jan keeps it. I don't really see anyone else.
I'm not. I really like Rakic and Prohaska. I think it's great having these guys coming in from Europe, but I wouldn't pick them against Jan.
Neither would I.
It's just a bit too like Rakic fights very conservatively. Like he's very good at watching his P's and Q's, but I think Jan does it maybe even better than him. Like he was so good against Adesanya, man. Like just
He's
so really perfect. You know, like I know they didn't highlight it in the commentary, but checking the leg kicks, like he just didn't allow him to mix him up in the soup. You know what I mean? He just was like, right, he's kicking my leg, he's trying to punch me. Like he was very to the point, didn't settle for any kind of rhythm that Adesanya was showing him. Here's a really good one. Heavyweight, Francis Ngannou. Will the John Jones fight happen? Will someone make a bold prediction here?
No, I think Francis keeps it. And I don't think the John Jones fight happens. I always say don't listen to Dana White, but he's been constantly saying it's not going to happen. He only said it a few days ago, I think. I seen it on Reddit. He said that the Derek Lewis fight is going to happen. I think Francis will avenge that amazing loss that he had to Derek Lewis and keep the belt.
Man, do you know what pisses me off? So many fans backing down on that. Oh my God, it boils my piss. It boils my piss. I can feel it fermenting inside my penis when I think about it.
Oh, God.
Because, man, you are literally picking the worst heavyweight of all, like the worst heavyweight fight of all time over John fucking Jones and Francis Ngannou. Are you mental? Oh my God. I just see so many people siding with Dana. It drives me mental. Over fighters all the time. It's just
there's so many UFC stands out there and Dana stands. There's an unbelievable amount.
When he put out the fucking crazy media video that he had to remove because he was lambasted by everyone who you know what I mean, who was worth anything in the industry. Yeah. They were like, yeah, Dana, tell those media fucks asking for fighters to get paid right. What a bunch of dickheads.
It looked like an awesome Netflix documentary though. I'll give it that. I'd watch it.
Mate, I knew lads that were in that video who they just edited around what they were actually saying. So
Ariel was one.
Yeah, fucking Alex from MMA fighting as well.
Know,
like he was like, I honestly can't remember saying that.
I wouldn't mind. He had Brian Campbell saying shit as well, and he's been like the most positive guy on it. He said one thing bad once, they clipped it. Get that in there.
Dead to me. Right, let's speed it up here for the last few divisions. Strawweight, Zhang Weili.
Oh, I'm gonna pick Rose. Rose wins it this weekend.
Valentina Shevchenko at flyweight.
Yeah, keeps it.
Yeah. And Amanda Nunes at bantamweight.
I'm in. Unless she like vacates it,
I'm picking Juliana Pena.
There you go. Oh Jesus! I actually.
I'm already bet.
Clip that bit and just hold it until the fight happens, just in case.
I'm sorry. I don't know if that was an enjoyable experience for all you people watching, but we decided to do it for our good friend. So, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we got about 10, 12 more minutes. So if you guys got any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I saw one that I'm actually curious to answer. So El Aliet, the OG, good to see you as always, asked, hey guys, your opinion on title defense records. Is it just the sheer number that matters, or is it also the promotion where they were achieved? Guys got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, like it's a lot of things, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, are people saying, like, so there goes the argument, are we counting Conor McGregor's Cage Warriors? I don't think people do that, though. Like, that's just, I think.
Yeah, I wonder what the question is. Does he mean, like, are you counting, like if you were saying the best champion, you counting other titles apart from the UFC?
Like, I believe Patricio Pitbull is one of the best fighters in the world, but the vast majority of casual MMA fans have never even heard his name. So it's tough to say, right? So I count that, but if I walked up to them with Patricio beside me in the street and went, this guy is the greatest fighter of all time, they'd be like, what? Who? This?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
What's a Pitbull?
Yeah.
I mean, the UFC is always going to get the plaudits or whatever, but in terms of like ranking title fights or ranking like defenses, it's not only on how many you do, it's also the quality of them. Like, not even if you finish, but like, were they dominant, were they against good guys, that kind of thing. What was the opposition like? So I think when you're ranking it, it's not just on the amount of title fights. And I think that's why GSP's title run was so good. It's because the guys that we beat were great fighters, and the wins for the most part were all dominant and very, very good. So that's why I'd rank it over like the likes of Anderson Silva, who had more, but I don't think the guys he fought were quite as good.
And he pissed hot.
That's true too, yeah.
We got Zach Bautista. Good to see you. He said, best looking MMA on Point member. Unless I'm forgetting someone, I think it comes down to Rob or Balian.
Oh, well,
I think you're right.
I'll say Balian because I don't want to be.
Oh, Lord. Balian's got the smoothest voice. That's for damn sure.
And balls.
That's unbelievable. Yeah.
And balls. He's got the smoothest balls on the team, baby. Let's get a few more quick questions. Captain said, where can you find that Dana White fighter pay video? Do either of you know off the top of your head?
It's been removed from the internet store.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, definitely sure you can get it somewhere, but they removed it anyway, right? I'm sure someone has it. Try like Daily Motion or something.
Ask Balian.
Yeah, Balian might know. All right, we got Sir Toby. Who wins the Bellator light heavyweight tournament?
Nemkov.
I'll pick Nemkov, but after the performance last weekend, whenever it was it last weekend? That's right. It was good, and Phil Davis is hard to beat, but I wasn't overly impressed with that performance, and I could see where someone like Yoel or someone like Rumble, and Rumble is looking like in unbelievable shape right now. I could see how they could beat him, and I wouldn't be wholly surprised. But I'll pick Nemkov because that's the guy I picked at the start. I don't want to change my opinion halfway through.
That's what
I'll be that guy
as well, to be honest. I can't wait to see Rumble though, man.
I know.
I'm really excited. That fight is going to be unbelievable.
Jesus, yeah. Thank you.
We got a few more. We got Joel Glome said, what do you guys think of Dalton Rasta? He was in your Fighters to Watch in April video and won.
I didn't write it.
He is undefeated in Bellator and from the Berg.
He didn't have a great fight his last outing, right? It was a decision, I believe. He's
always that he fought in Bellator last. Yeah. I know.
He didn't have an amazing fight.
No.
It's still hard to know. Too early in his career, to be honest. He has great pedigree. And look, you're allowed to have fights like that this early in your career. You don't have to be going out and highlight reeling everyone you see. But I don't know enough about him. I only saw that last fight. I know about Rug, and I can tell you, me and Lawton endorse him.
Rug, he's gonna be the title holder for whatever promotion he's in. This year.
When you see,
yeah, he's gonna.
If that guy keeps winning, though, what an absolute superstar he's gonna be.
Wouldn't need to put him on every fucking card. You'll have me up till 5 a.m. all the time, man. If Rug's there, 100%.
That's insane. I freaking love it. If you don't, I'm sure you guys know who we're talking about. But if you haven't, little plug, we have an awesome On Point Prospects piece from about, was it 2 weeks ago? PT3? 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Whenever whatever that was. Yeah, 3 weeks ago. So
Yeah, so
was awesome, by the way,
fantastic
PT.
video. This guy is an insane Senegalese wrestler, and he is just kicking ass coming up the mixed martial arts chain. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's only like 9 minutes long. Great video. I edited it. PT voiced it. We're the best team on the channel.
yeah,
But no.
yeah. We're no Bailey and Rob. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not forgetting that one in a hurry. Dead to me.
All right, let's see who we got. Any more questions that I've skimmed over? I'm trying to skim the chat, guys. Sorry, I'm a little behind kind of watching everything.
Too exciting. He's getting too excited watching me and Rob. That's what it is. Irish mysticism happening here.
The Irish,
That's under the table since it got going.
the Irish takeover is just distracting me. How do you think these world-class kickboxers do if they do transition to MMA? I'm not sure which world-class ones he's talking about, but
Probably Holskin and John Wayne Parr he's talking about.
probably. Daniel Cooley asked that, by the way. Thank you, Daniel.
MMA.
Sorry, bud?
Is that kickboxing fight or is it an MMA fight?
Muay Thai.
Yeah, so it's Muay Thai.
How would they do if they went across?
It's really hard to tell, isn't it? Like we've kind of seen, like we see in Saki, probably one of the most recent kind of big name kickboxers come across, didn't do all that well. It really depends. I mean, it's difficult to pick up grappling at a later age. So if you're talking about something like young kickboxer who really dedicates themselves to MMA, I mean, their striking is amazing. So like that's going to be great, but there's a lot more to look out for. Like Saki got dropped against, who was it that he got dropped against? Roundtree, wasn't it? Yeah. And it was just a simple shot. I think it was a 1-2 or something. He threw a lazy leg kick. And I don't know, the ranges in MMA is very different than kickboxing. So
it's also the amount of surface area the gloves cover. Like they're used to just putting their hand up there and having the whole face secure.
Very true.
And then when you're wearing them small gloves, you can loop around, loop in front. Yeah. It's a lot more shit can happen, you know?
You got to get these guys who are doing the kickboxing in the MMA gloves that one done. And that Cage Kings used to do over here. Remember that?
That was that's fucking wild.
Mental.
That was a religious experience. When
I know.
Remember King Kelly knocked that dude out and the world exploded for 5 seconds? That was
crazy. Yeah. Is that online? If that's online, go check it out. Yeah, go check that out.
It was Aaron Brown maybe that he fought.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah,
Keen Kelly v Aaron Brown, Cage Kings or whatever it was called. It was
the knee. It was vicious.
I was out with Stephen Lowry that night. Had a few too many. Showed up and I was like, oh, I'm not even into this. And then that happened. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And the cage is tiny, like tiny.
2 lads in a blender, basically.
All right, we'll rattle off just a few more quick ones. We got literally just a few more minutes, guys. Appreciate all the interaction today, as always. Good to see everybody. Captain asks, if Masvidal wins and Conor beats Dustin, do you think we see Masvidal and Conor for the welterweight title / crazy money fight? What do y'all think?
Jesus.
Like, I mean, I can remember when Masvidal was trying to make this happen, Dana was saying, like, oh, Conor's too small, and Conor got offended by that. He was like, what's he saying? I'm not too small. I'm just as big as that man, and all this stuff. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, if they both lose, they should do it, to be honest. I mean, whatever. Like, I mean, make that money, guys. You know, you're going to watch the shit out of it. Like, don't deny it. You will watch that fucking fight. I know I would.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing, isn't it? Like, people are going to complain about it. We're all going to watch it. And it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't want to see it, but like, I want to see it. I don't want it to happen. But I love that you done the fake Irish accent, even though you're Irish. That was
oh my God. Huh?
All right.
What is wrong with me?
I'm trying to... I don't see any more questions that I really missed. A bunch of people talking to each other. So I don't know if you guys have any last minute thoughts. We might wrap it. We got 2 minutes though. So I mean, we'll probably just wrap it. But yeah, do you guys have any last minute thoughts? PT, Rob?
Thanks so much for enjoying me on the live chat. This will be my last week. Bailey and Rob next week. Great while it lasted, lads.
Dude, it was the best bit of PT nearly killed himself trying to fix his light before we went live. So that again.
I can just move my computer. Bang! Oh no.
I need to start recording off air and start making like little like blooper reels, because that was freaking hilarious today. But all right, guys, well, we are gonna wrap it. Like I said, it's been about an hour and a half right at, so we do appreciate everyone joining in as always. Just another reminder, we did partner with Venom. You can get sweet shirts. I can't really show you sweet shirts like this one on their store. Use the code MMA on point, get 10% off of everything. Please help them support us. And we just love being able to partner with companies like this that freaking do what we love and kind of help us out. So please go get that. And then we will be here next week. As always, I think
You will. You will.
Yeah, I will. I will. Is Jason back next week? I don't even know what his schedule is, to be totally
He went
honest.
over to sort out that Super League thing with the Premier League teams. That's all I know. All I know is he arrived in the fucking country, and the next day the 6 teams were like, we are pulling out of the Super League. So he probably beat them like he beats all of us regularly.
Yeah.
The most abusive boss ever. But I have to ask him. I think he's back. But either way, we're doing a chat next week. We got Capoza's Corner coming up in about 3 hours today. So check that out. And we got obviously 261 this weekend. So everybody will be tuned into that. So Rob, Pizzi, pleasure as always. Thank you for joining us, Rob. Good to see you as always. Pizzi, love seeing you. Even though you and I are not the prettiest on the team, always love seeing you.
Not even good at our jobs apparently anymore. So I'm not saying goodbye to you people. I hope you all burn in hell. Thank you.
The nicest PT sign off ever. But all right, y'all. Well, thank you again for joining us. We will catch you all on the next video and next week. And have a good rest of your afternoon. Peace out.
Have a terrible afternoon.